Do you still think about those childhood sandwiches you don't see anymore? They once fed families through hard times and left flavors we'll never forget. What are we losing by letting them disappear? Sloppy Joe sandwich. The Sloppy Joe ruled school cafeterias and family dinner tables across America from the 1940s through the 1980s. This messy masterpiece started with ground beef simmered in a sweet and tangy tomato-based sauce, then piled high on a soft hamburger bun. The sauce was the secret, a perfect blend of ketchup, brown sugar, onions, and just enough spice to make your taste buds dance. Kids loved them because they were fun to eat, even if they ended up wearing half the sandwich on their shirts. Mothers loved them because 1 pound of ground beef could feed a family of 6 when stretched with the right sauce. The sandwich got its name from a cook in Sioux City, Iowa, who served a loose meat sandwich he called a Sloppy Joe back in the 1930s. By the 1950s, every mother had her own version of the recipe, often served with a side of potato chips and a tall glass of milk. The beauty of the Sloppy Joe was its forgiving nature. You could add whatever vegetables you had on hand, adjust the sweetness to your family's taste, and it always turned out delicious. Today's kids might wrinkle their noses at the idea of meat sauce on a bun, but for generations of Americans, the Sloppy Joe was pure comfort food magic. Ham and cheese sandwich. The ham and cheese sandwich was the reliable workhorse of lunchboxes everywhere, a simple combination that never failed to satisfy. Thick slices of deli ham and cheese, usually American, Swiss, or cheddar, were layered between slices of bread with mustard, mayonnaise, or both. The beauty of this sandwich was its dependability. It was the same whether packed for school lunch, served at a picnic, or grabbed for a quick dinner. Families often bought ham by the pound from the local deli, where it was sliced fresh and wrapped in white paper. The cheese was equally important. It needed to complement the ham without overpowering it. American cheese was the safe choice for children, while Swiss added a more mature flavor that adults preferred. Some families upgraded their ham and cheese with lettuce and tomato, creating a more substantial sandwich that could serve as a complete meal. The sandwich represented reliability and tradition, the kind of meal that fathers took to work in their lunch pails and children ate at school cafeterias. It required no special skills to prepare, but doing it well meant choosing quality ingredients and taking care with the proportions. The ham and cheese sandwich was democratic food. It crossed all social and economic lines, equally at home in a construction worker's lunchbox and a businessman's brown bag. During the Depression and wartime rationing, even a simple ham and cheese sandwich was a luxury that families treasured. Bologna sandwich. The Bologna sandwich was the ultimate kid food, simple enough for children to make themselves and beloved for its mild flavor and soft texture. Oscar Mayer Bologna was the gold standard, though every family had their preferred brand. The sandwich was typically made with white bread, bologna, and either mustard or mayonnaise, though some kids preferred it plain. The bologna was often fried lightly to add flavor and texture, creating crispy edges that children loved. Some families cut designs into the bologna slices, creating flowers or stars that made lunch more fun. The sandwich represented independence for children. It was often the first sandwich they learned to make themselves, a rite of passage that meant they could prepare their own lunch. Bologna was affordable and kept well, making it a staple in family refrigerators across America. The sandwich was unpretentious and honest, never trying to be anything more than what it was. A simple, satisfying meal that filled hungry stomachs and created happy memories. Mothers packed Bologna sandwiches in lunch boxes with a piece of fruit and a handful of cookies, creating complete meals that children looked forward to. The key to a good Bologna sandwich was fresh bread and quality meat, though even the simplest version could bring a smile to a child's face. During tough economic times, Bologna sandwiches were a way to provide protein without breaking the budget. Fried egg and cheese sandwich. The fried egg and cheese sandwich was breakfast simplicity at its finest, featuring a fried egg and melted cheese between slices of buttered toasted bread. The egg could be cooked any way, over easy for a runny yolk that added richness, or over hard for easier eating. American cheese was the most common choice because it melted smoothly and had a mild flavor that complemented the egg. The bread was typically white and buttered on the outside before being grilled, creating a golden, crispy exterior that contrasted with the creamy interior. This sandwich was often made for quick breakfasts or late-night snacks, representing comfort food that could be prepared in minutes with ingredients that most families always had on hand. The key was timing. The egg needed to be cooked properly while the bread toasted and the cheese melted, requiring coordination and attention. Some families added bacon or ham to make the sandwich more substantial, while others kept it simple with just egg and cheese. The sandwich was particularly popular with children because it was mild and familiar, and with teenagers because it was filling and could be made independently. It represented a time when breakfast was often cooked at home rather than grabbed on the go, when families gathered around the kitchen table to start their day together. The fried egg and cheese sandwich was honest food that made no pretensions, but delivered satisfaction and nourishment in every bite. Meatloaf sandwich. Cold meatloaf between slices of white bread wasn't just a way to use leftovers. It was a planned part of the weekly meal rotation in millions of American homes. Mothers would deliberately make extra meatloaf on Sunday nights, knowing that Monday's lunch boxes would be filled with thick slices nestled between buttered bread, often accompanied by a smear of ketchup or mustard. The meatloaf itself was a work of art, combining ground beef with breadcrumbs, eggs, and whatever vegetables needed, using up from the week's shopping. Each family had their secret ingredients. Some added diced onions and peppers, others incorporated crushed crackers or oatmeal to stretch the meat further. The texture was dense and satisfying, holding together perfectly for sandwich construction. Children would unwrap these sandwiches from wax paper or aluminum foil, the meat having absorbed the bread's moisture overnight, creating a cohesive, flavorful meal. Teachers could identify meatloaf sandwich kids by the satisfied expressions on their faces during lunch period. Tuna salad sandwich. The tuna salad sandwich was a staple of lunchboxes and kitchen tables across America, a protein-packed meal that could be made ahead and enjoyed anywhere. The base was simple, canned tuna mixed with mayonnaise, but the variations were endless. Some families added chopped celery for crunch, others included hard-boiled eggs for extra richness. Sweet pickle relish was a common addition, providing tiny bursts of flavor and texture. More adventurous cooks might add chopped onions, capers, or even a touch of curry powder. The sandwich was typically served on white or wheat bread with lettuce leaves to add freshness and prevent the bread from getting soggy. Tuna salad represented practicality and nutrition during an era when mothers packed lunches every morning and planned meals around budget-friendly protein sources. Canned tuna was affordable, shelf-stable, and versatile. It could be dressed up for company or kept simple for everyday meals. The sandwich was perfect for summer picnics because it didn't require heating and actually tasted better when served cold. Children often requested tuna salad sandwiches because they were familiar and comforting, while adults appreciated their convenience and nutritional value. The key to a great tuna salad sandwich was finding the right balance between the tuna and mayonnaise, ensuring the mixture was moist but not soggy, flavorful but not overwhelming. Each family had their own secret touches that made their version special. Egg salad sandwich. The egg salad sandwich was a gentle, creamy comfort food that represented home cooking at its most nurturing. Made with hard-boiled eggs mashed with mayonnaise and seasoned simply with salt, pepper, and perhaps a touch of mustard, this sandwich was both economical and satisfying. Many families added chopped celery for crunch, while others included a sprinkle of paprika for color and mild spice. The sandwich was typically served on soft white bread with lettuce leaves, creating a cool, refreshing meal perfect for warm days. Egg salad sandwiches were popular at church potlucks, ladies' luncheons, and family picnics because they were easy to make in large quantities and transported well. The key to great egg salad was in the texture. The eggs needed to be chopped to just the right consistency, not too fine, but not too chunky, and mixed with just enough mayonnaise to bind everything together without making it soupy. Some cooks had secret ingredients: a touch of sweet pickle relish, a dash of curry powder, or a sprinkle of fresh herbs from the garden. The sandwich represented a time when eggs were an affordable protein source, and when families knew how to transform simple ingredients into satisfying meals. Making egg salad required patience. You had to boil the eggs properly, let them cool completely, and take the time to mix everything just right. Liverwurst sandwich. The liverwurst sandwich was an acquired taste that divided people into two camps: those who loved its rich, distinctive flavor, and those who couldn't get past its unusual texture. Made from ground liver mixed with pork and spices, liverwurst was spreadable and intensely flavored. The sandwich was typically built on rye bread with mustard, onions, and sometimes lettuce. European immigrants brought liverwurst to America, where it became popular in German and Jewish communities before spreading to the broader population. The spread was nutritious and affordable, providing iron and protein in a form that even children could learn to enjoy. Some families served liverwurst with sliced hard-boiled eggs, creating an even richer and more substantial sandwich. The key to a good liverwurst sandwich was balance. The strong flavor of the liver needed to be complemented by the right bread and condiments without being overwhelmed. Rye bread's hearty flavor stood up to the liverwurst, while mustard added sharpness that cut through the richness. The sandwich represented a time when people ate organ meats regularly and when waste was considered shameful. Liverwurst was a way to use every part of the animal while creating something delicious and nutritious. The sandwich was often packed in lunch boxes for men who worked physical jobs, providing sustained energy and satisfaction. Deviled ham sandwich. The deviled ham sandwich featured a spicy, spreadable mixture made from finely chopped ham mixed with spices, mustard, and sometimes pickle relish. Underwood deviled ham, with its distinctive devil logo, was the most popular commercial version, though many families made their own using leftover ham from Sunday dinner. The spread was typically made by grinding cooked ham with spices like paprika, cayenne pepper, mustard, and vinegar, creating a mixture that was both flavorful and convenient. The sandwich was usually served on white bread with lettuce, though some people preferred it on crackers as an appetizer. Deviled ham represented thrift and creativity, a way to transform leftover meat into something that tasted completely different and exciting. The spread kept well in the refrigerator, making it perfect for quick lunches and unexpected guests. Children often loved deviled ham sandwiches because the spread was easy to eat and had a familiar, comfortable flavor that wasn't too spicy despite its name. The sandwich was popular at picnics and outdoor events because it didn't require refrigeration for short periods and was easy to transport. Making deviled ham at home required a meat grinder or food processor, and families took pride in their own spice blends and secret ingredients. The sandwich represented a time when using every scrap of food was both necessary and honorable, when creativity in the kitchen was born from practical needs rather than culinary ambition. Spam sandwich. The Spam sandwich was wartime ingenuity that became peacetime comfort food, featuring the famous canned meat that fed families during World War II and beyond. Spam could be served cold, sliced thin, and layered on bread with mustard and lettuce, or fried until crispy and served warm. The meat was salty and had a distinctive flavor that people either loved or hated, but during rationing, it was often the only meat available. Families learned to prepare Spam in various ways. Some sliced it thick and grilled it like ham steaks. Others cubed it and mixed it with eggs for breakfast. The sandwich represented resilience and making do with what you had, turning necessity into a meal that could actually be quite satisfying. In Hawaii, Spam became so popular that it remains a local favorite to this day, often served with rice and seaweed. The mainland sandwich was typically simpler. Spam on white bread with mustard, maybe some lettuce if you were lucky. Some families fried the Spam to improve its texture and add flavor, creating crispy edges that made the sandwich more appealing. The Spam sandwich was democratic food that fed both rich and poor families during difficult times. It represented American ingenuity and the ability to find satisfaction in simple pleasures. While Spam never had the reputation of traditional deli meats, it served its purpose and created its own nostalgic memories for those who grew up eating it. Club sandwich. The club sandwich was the aristocrat of the sandwich world, a three-story creation that required both skill to assemble and strategy to eat. Built with 3 slices of toasted white bread, the club featured layers of turkey or chicken, crispy bacon, lettuce, tomato, and mayonnaise, all held together with colorful toothpicks. The sandwich originated in fancy hotels and private clubs in the late 1800s, which is how it got its name. What made the club special was its architecture. Each layer had to be perfectly balanced, with the middle slice of toast providing crucial structural support. The bacon had to be crispy enough to provide texture, but not so crispy that it shattered when you bit down. The tomatoes needed to be thick enough to taste, but thin enough not to make the sandwich soggy. Lettuce added the necessary crunch, while mayonnaise bound everything together. The club was often served cut into triangular quarters, each piece secured with a toothpick, topped with an olive or cherry. It was a sandwich that demanded attention. You couldn't eat it absent-mindedly or while walking. The club represented a time when lunch was an event, not just fuel for the afternoon. Restaurants took pride in their club sandwiches, often serving them on fine china with a side of potato salad and pickles. The sandwich required good ingredients and careful preparation, which is probably why it's rarely done well today. BLT sandwich. The BLT was summer perfection captured between 2 slices of bread, a celebration of the season's best tomatoes, enhanced by crispy bacon and fresh lettuce. This seemingly simple sandwich was actually quite sophisticated, requiring perfect timing and the right ingredients to achieve greatness. The bacon needed to be cooked to exactly the right level of crispiness, providing texture without being so hard it cut your mouth. The tomatoes had to be at peak ripeness, sliced thick enough to provide substance, but not so thick they overwhelmed the other flavors. The lettuce should be crisp and cold, adding a refreshing crunch to each bite. The bread, usually white and toasted to a golden brown, provided the foundation for this summer symphony. Mayonnaise was essential, not just as a condiment, but as the glue that held everything together and added richness to balance the acidity of the tomatoes. The BLT was a seasonal sandwich. You simply couldn't make a good one without garden-fresh tomatoes, which meant it was a special treat that people anticipated all year long. Families would grow tomatoes in their backyard specifically for BLT season, and the first BLT of summer was often a cause for celebration. The sandwich represented a time when people ate seasonally by necessity, not choice, and when the simple pleasure of a perfectly ripe tomato was enough to make a meal memorable. Grilled cheese sandwich. The grilled cheese sandwich was childhood comfort food at its finest. Golden, buttery bread surrounding melted cheese that stretched in long, gooey strings with every bite. This humble sandwich required only 3 ingredients: bread, butter, and cheese. But the technique was everything. The bread had to be buttered on the outside and grilled in a hot pan until it was crispy and golden, while the cheese melted into creamy perfection on the inside. American cheese was the standard choice because it melted smoothly and had a mild flavor that appealed to children, though some families preferred Velveeta for its extra creaminess. The sandwich was often paired with a bowl of tomato soup, creating a combination that was both satisfying and nostalgic. Mothers made grilled cheese sandwiches for sick children, quick lunches, and late-night snacks. The beauty of the grilled cheese was its simplicity. There was nowhere to hide inferior ingredients or poor technique. You either nailed it or you didn't. Getting the heat just right was crucial. Too hot and the bread burned before the cheese melted. Too cool and you ended up with soggy bread and unmelted cheese. The sandwich represented a time when simple pleasures were enough, when the sight of cheese beginning to melt was cause for excitement, and when a mother's love could be expressed through something as basic as butter, bread, and cheese. Monte Cristo sandwich. The Monte Cristo was the French toast's sophisticated cousin, a sandwich that blurred the line between lunch and dessert. This elegant creation featured ham, turkey, and Swiss cheese, layered between slices of bread, then dipped in egg batter and grilled until golden brown, often served with powdered sugar and raspberry jam. The sandwich originated in French cafes, but became popular in American restaurants during the 1960s and 1970s. What made the Monte Cristo special was its transformation through cooking. The egg batter created a crispy, slightly sweet exterior that contrasted beautifully with the savory filling inside. The cheese melted into creamy richness while the meats provided substantial protein. Some versions included mustard or mayonnaise inside, while others relied purely on the natural flavors of the ingredients. The sandwich was often served warm with a dusting of powdered sugar and a small dish of jam or syrup for dipping. It was a restaurant specialty that few people attempted at home because it required careful timing and technique to get the batter just right. The Monte Cristo represented a time when dining out was special, when restaurants offered unique creations you couldn't easily replicate at home. It was a sandwich that made lunch feel like an event. transforming simple ingredients into something that felt almost magical through the alchemy of skilled preparation. Tuna melt sandwich. The tuna melt elevated the humble tuna salad sandwich to new heights by adding cheese and transforming it through the magic of heat. This warm, comforting sandwich featured tuna salad topped with cheese, usually cheddar or Swiss, then grilled or broiled until the cheese bubbled and turned golden brown. The bread was often toasted first to provide a sturdy foundation that wouldn't get soggy from the tuna mixture. Some versions were open-faced, allowing the cheese to cover the entire surface and create an impressive presentation. The tuna melt was popular in coffee shops and casual restaurants throughout the 1960s and 1970s, often served with a pickle and chips. What made this sandwich special was the way the heat transformed the ingredients. The cheese added richness and helped bind the tuna together, while the warm temperature brought out new flavors in the mixture. The contrast between the crispy, cheesy top and the creamy tuna below created a satisfying textural experience. Making a tuna melt required patience and attention. The cheese needed to melt completely without burning, and the tuna needed to be warmed through without drying out. The sandwich represented a time when simple ingredients could be transformed into something special through basic cooking techniques, when the act of melting cheese on top of tuna salad felt like culinary innovation. Patty melt sandwich. The patty melt was diner food at its finest, a sandwich that combined the best elements of a hamburger and a grilled cheese. This hearty creation featured a hamburger patty grilled with onions, topped with cheese, usually Swiss or American, and served between slices of grilled rye bread. The magic happened when everything was assembled and grilled together, allowing the flavors to meld and the cheese to bind everything into one delicious package. The patty melt originated in California diners in the 1940s and spread across the country as a favorite among truck drivers and late-night diners. What set the patty melt apart from a regular hamburger was the use of rye bread instead of a bun, and the grilling process that created crispy edges and melted everything together. The onions were crucial. They needed to be cooked until they were sweet and caramelized, adding depth and flavor to every bite. The beef patty was typically thinner than a regular hamburger, allowing it to cook quickly and evenly while absorbing the flavors of the onions and cheese. Diners served patty melts with a side of fries and a pickle, making it a complete and satisfying meal. The sandwich represented American ingenuity in the kitchen, taking familiar ingredients and combining them in a new way that was greater than the sum of its parts. Chicken salad sandwich. The chicken salad sandwich was elegance in simplicity, a way to transform leftover roasted chicken into something special enough for company. The base was tender, shredded chicken mixed with mayonnaise and seasoned with salt and pepper. But from there, each cook could add their own signature touches. Some added chopped celery for crunch. Others included grapes or apples for sweetness. And many families had secret ingredients like a touch of curry powder, chopped almonds, or fresh herbs. The sandwich was typically served on white or wheat bread with lettuce, though fancier versions might appear on croissants or rolls. Chicken salad represented both thrift and sophistication. It was a way to use every bit of a Sunday roast chicken while creating something that felt special enough for ladies' lunch or a bridge party. The texture was crucial. The chicken needed to be shredded just right, not too fine, but not in chunks so large they fell out of the sandwich. The mayonnaise had to coat everything evenly without making the mixture too wet. Many families served chicken salad sandwiches at special occasions like baby showers, graduation parties, and afternoon teas. The sandwich required advanced planning. You needed to roast a chicken, let it cool, remove all the meat, and mix everything together with care. It represented a time when cooking was a process, not a race, and when using leftovers was a point of pride, not a compromise. Pimento cheese sandwich. The pimento cheese sandwich was pure Southern comfort, featuring a spread made from sharp cheddar cheese, mayonnaise, and diced pimentos that created a creamy, slightly sweet mixture with a beautiful orange color. This sandwich was often called the caviar of the South because it was both humble and beloved. The spread was typically made fresh at home, with mothers grating blocks of cheese by hand and mixing in just the right amount of mayonnaise to create a smooth but not soupy consistency. The pimentos added sweetness and color, while some cooks included a touch of hot sauce or cayenne pepper for heat. The sandwich was served on white bread, either plain or toasted, and was perfect for picnics because the spread didn't leak or spoil easily in warm weather. Pimento cheese represented regional pride and tradition, a recipe that was passed down through generations of Southern families. Each cook had their own secret touches. Some added cream cheese for extra richness. Others included grated onion for bite, and many had specific brands of cheese they swore by. The sandwich was democratic food that appeared at both elegant garden parties and casual family gatherings. Making pimento cheese was often a social activity, with women gathering to grate cheese and share family news while they worked. The spread kept well in the refrigerator, making it perfect for quick lunches and unexpected guests. Cold macaroni salad with peas and pickles. This wasn't your modern pasta salad loaded with expensive ingredients. Depression-era macaroni salad stretched precious protein with whatever was available. Mothers would cook a full pound of elbow macaroni, then fold in frozen peas that had been briefly blanched, chopped sweet pickles for tang, and hard-boiled eggs when the family could afford them. The dressing was simple mayonnaise thinned with pickle juice, creating a sharp, creamy coating that made the simple ingredients sing. Families served this cold dish at church picnics, family reunions, and Sunday dinners when the weather was too hot for heavy meals. The beauty lay in its adaptability. Some families added chopped onions, others threw in leftover ham if they were lucky. Children loved finding the surprise pockets of sweet pickle, while adults appreciated how this dish could feed 8 people for less than $1. Fried green tomato slices. Before the growing season ended, smart gardeners picked their green tomatoes rather than let frost destroy them. These unripe treasures became golden, crispy delights when sliced thick, dredged in cornmeal seasoned with salt and pepper, then fried in hot oil until the coating turned crunchy and the tomato inside became tender and slightly tart. The contrast between the crispy exterior and the tangy interior made these slices irresistible. Families served them as a side dish with breakfast, alongside fried chicken for dinner, or as a simple lunch with fresh bread. The preparation was a family affair. Children helped slice tomatoes, while mothers heated the oil and managed the frying. Each slice had to be eaten immediately, while the coating remained crisp. The dish represented the practical wisdom of waste not, want not cooking, transforming what might have been discarded into something delicious and memorable. Apple Brown Betty. This humble dessert transformed simple ingredients into pure comfort. Layers of sliced apples were nestled between seasoned breadcrumbs made from day-old bread, creating a dish that was half bread pudding, half apple crisp. The breadcrumbs were mixed with butter, brown sugar, and cinnamon, then layered with tart cooking apples in a buttered baking dish. As it baked, the apples released their juices, soaking into the breadcrumbs and creating a custardy interior beneath a golden, crispy top. Families served it warm with a pitcher of cold milk or a dollop of fresh cream when available. The dessert used up bread that might otherwise go stale and transformed inexpensive apples into something special. Children loved the way the top layer crunched while the bottom layers were soft and sweet. The aroma while baking filled the house with the scents of cinnamon and caramelized apples, promising a sweet ending to any meal. Baked custard with nutmeg. This silky dessert required only eggs, milk, sugar, and vanilla, yet it felt luxurious on the tongue. Mothers would scald milk in heavy saucepans, then slowly whisk it into beaten eggs and sugar, creating a smooth custard base. The mixture was poured into individual custard cups or a large baking dish, then baked in a water bath until a knife inserted in the center came out clean. The final touch was a generous dusting of fresh nutmeg, creating aromatic spots on the golden surface. The custard emerged from the oven with a slightly firm exterior and a creamy interior that melted on the tongue. Families served it both warm and cold, sometimes with fresh berries when in season. The dessert felt sophisticated despite its simple ingredients, making ordinary weeknight meals feel special. Children loved the smooth texture, while adults appreciated the delicate vanilla and nutmeg flavors that never overwhelmed the palate. Salmon and potato bake. Canned salmon was an affordable protein that mothers transformed into filling family meals. This casserole combined flaked salmon with sliced potatoes, onions, and a simple white sauce in a buttered baking dish. The white sauce was made from butter, flour, and milk, seasoned with salt and pepper. Some families added hard-boiled eggs or peas for extra substance. The dish baked until the potatoes were tender and the top was golden brown. Each serving provided complete nutrition: protein from the salmon, carbohydrates from the potatoes, and calcium from the milk. Families served it with simple green vegetables or fresh bread. Children enjoyed picking through the salmon for bones, turning mealtime into a small adventure. The casserole could stretch to feed unexpected guests with the addition of more potatoes and milk. The combination of flavors was mild enough for children, yet satisfying enough for working adults. Canned Vienna sausages with crackers. These small, canned sausages were a pantry staple that could create quick meals when fresh meat wasn't available. Mothers served them cold, straight from the can, alongside saltine crackers and maybe some pickles or cheese. Sometimes they sliced them into scrambled eggs or fried them lightly for breakfast. Children loved the salty, smoky flavor and the fun of eating something that felt like fancy appetizers. The protein-packed sausages were filling despite their small size, and the crackers provided necessary carbohydrates. Families took them on picnics because they required no refrigeration and no cooking. During power outages or emergency situations, they provided reliable nutrition. The combination became a comfort food for many children who remembered it fondly as adults. While not glamorous, these simple meals filled hungry stomachs and created lasting memories of times when families made do with whatever was available. Raisin-filled cookies. These weren't ordinary cookies, but rather small pies made with cookie dough. Mothers would roll out sweet cookie dough, cut circles, and fill half of them with a thick paste made from cooked raisins, sugar, and spices. Another circle of dough was placed on top. The edges were crimped with a fork, and the cookies were baked until golden. The raisin filling became jammy and sweet, creating a burst of flavor with each bite. Families made these for special occasions when they wanted something more elaborate than ordinary cookies, but couldn't afford expensive ingredients. Children loved the surprise of the sweet filling hidden inside what looked like a plain cookie. The cookies kept well in covered containers, making them perfect for packed lunches or afternoon snacks.